How do you go about pulling together a strategy that covers not only CO2, but also presumably the water resources you use, the wood, and whether the materials are sustainably sourced, the innovation that you might have to factor in as well, and trade them off against your financial goals? I mean, it's a huge question, and perhaps unfair to put to you to say briefly, how do we understand that? How do you go about that new kind of dimension to your strategy?
Well, I would say that maybe one of the challenges, to be honest, Azeem, is to be brief on it, because it is complex. But if I would say, you need to break down, you can of course do the symbolic things. IKEA, like many other companies, have been phasing out single-use plastic, which is a right decision and a good one. But it doesn't have a massive impact on our footprint, to be honest. So, of course, there are things that are easier to be done, and singular decisions that can be taken. But in order to have a real impact, you need to know your footprint to start with. Mm-hmm. And then you need to address every part of it. So for us, it's to look at raw material, production, transport, retailing, and life at home. And if I give an example, if you take retailing, where we have today basically already passed the commitment to be climate positive, to the point that we have now invested more in renewable energy than we consume ourselves in the retail and distribution operations when it comes to property and the likes. So it's targeted actions on different parts of it. When it comes to home delivery, we are pacing up EV deliveries. You can say, how do you take those decisions and how do you drive it? You should make time a friend. Mm-hmm. We have put a target until 2025 to be 100% electrical vehicle in our implementation. But in some markets, it's been such a benefit. So we're already fully there. I think Shanghai was the first one out. In Paris, in a few years, you won't be able to access the city unless you have EV. Mm-hmm. So again, you have to look at and balance your decisions like that. I would say the most challenging part is probably raw material, because it's further away in the value chain, and some of the material equations are slightly more difficult because there is not yet an innovation in place. But then I would also turn it around to say, in forestry, it's a fantastic material. For example, wood is, and there are different types of fibers we are investing in. There are different ways of also creating circular loops, where we recently invested in, for example, taking back mattresses. It doesn't only give us a business opportunity, but it also helps us to reduce tax implications. Mm. So again, you have to look at the details in each part of the plan and work it through. And again, embrace Scope 3. Even if you as a company are not ready to commit yet, I would recommend everybody to be interested in the Scope 3, because it opens up some of the opportunities.